Good evening. My name is Richard Williams. Glad to have you with us tonight. Tonight, we're going to be looking at what can we learn from a bent over woman. But before we get started, like, share, and comment. Scripture we're looking at from Luke chapter 13, verse 10 through 17. So now he was teaching in one of the synagogues, and on the Sabbath, and just then there appeared a woman with a spirit that had crippled her for 18 years. She was bent over and was quite unable to stand up straight. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said, "Woman, you are set free from your ailment." When he laid his hands on her, immediately she stood up straight and began praising God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, kept saying to the crowd, "There are 6 days on which work ought to be done. Come on those days and be cured, and not on the Sabbath day." But the Lord answered him and said, "You hypocrites, does not each one of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the manger and lead it away to water? Ought not this woman, a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan bound for 18 long years, be set free on this day from this bondage on the Sabbath?" And he said this, and all his opponents were put to shame, and the entire crowd were rejoicing at all the wonderful things that he was doing. Think about this. The woman with the great need. When you think about this, one, we don't know her age. We don't know her name. Luke didn't tell us any of this. Here's what we do know. She was a believer in God because he called her daughter of Abraham. That was a title of the fact that she was a true believer. But we also see that she was helpless to overcome this issue in her life, this problem. She was bent over. That lets us know in a way that as Christians, you can be a strong believer in God and still have problems, things that you might have to live with for years that you just cannot overcome. And that was a condition of this woman. She had learned to put it into the hands of God. But I'm going to tell you something. Now, let me just say this out, and I'm going to probably make some people mad. You know where she was on that day? She was in church. How many times do we well, my hair just didn't do right. I ain't going to church, or I just don't feel good. I just kind of got a headache coming on. I'm going to stay home. Or, well, I worked out in the yard yesterday and my back's kind of aching. I'm going to stay home. This woman couldn't straighten up, folks. Okay? She could not straighten up. She was faithful. I'm going to tell you something. Faithfulness counts. She was in church where she belonged. Then it said the Lord saw her. She was in church. Guess what? Jesus said, "Where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst." She was there in church, and Christ saw her. I'm going to tell you something. Now, there are times we have to wait. When you're praying about something, you have to wait, and God eventually does. In his providence and his time, God answers prayer. Are we willing to stand in faith? Are we willing to keep being faithful to God? Are we willing to keep putting things in the hand of God and just being faithful to him and wait? I'm going to tell you something. She just came to that point of living a life of committed faithfulness to God, even though she was bent over. Jesus called her over to him. Now, she had a choice. She had to respond to this. She could have sat there and thought, "Oh, I'm embarrassed. I ain't going to go." She stood up, bent over, and you can make here. Most people, "I don't want to be a spectacle." Hey, she walked over, bent over, and she stood before Christ. I want to tell you something. When you hear the call of Christ, you've got to respond. You have to respond. Mama can't respond for you. Daddy can't respond for you. Grandparents can't respond for you. God does not have grandchildren. You have to make that decision to follow him on your own. No one can make it for you. You hear his call. What are you going to do? Are you going to go to him? Are you going to go to him? Jesus touched her. He laid his hands on her and touched her. The world we live in, everybody talks about, "Well, I wish I could see so-and-so." I'm going to tell you something. You've never had your life touched until it's been touched by Christ. You've never, I don't care who you've met. I don't care who you've shaken hands with. You never had your life touched until your life has been touched by Jesus Christ. And that's just a gospel truth. I'm going to tell you something. When God touches your life, he can make things straighten up. She straightened up. There's a lot of people who are bent over in this world. Sin has got you bent over. Unbelief has got you bent over. Bitterness has got you bent over. Things in this world have got you bent over. Christ wants to straighten you up, but you got to let him touch you. You got to come to him, surrender to him, and let him touch you. And when you do, let me tell you something. His touch will take away the pain of your heart. His touch will take away that pain, the bitterness. His touch will do more for you than anything else. Now, here we have the religious leaders, the leader of the synagogue. I'm going to tell you what. He got, you think about it, he got upset because this poor woman who'd been bent over for 18 years, all of a sudden she stands up straight. Yeah, it was on the Sabbath. What better day? What better day? In front of the rest of the people of God, what better day and what testimony to them of the power of God? She stood up straight. I'm going to tell you what. Think about this. God is always in control. Jesus looked at these people and he said, I'm going to tell you what. He said, he said, you bunch of hypocrites. He said, y'all are a bunch of hypocrites. He said, if you got an ox or a donkey, you're going to take it out and water it on the Sabbath. And this woman who was a child of God, a believer in God, he said, shouldn't she be set free? I think sometimes we get our priorities all mixed up in this world and we forget the fact that God cares more about people than he does about our opinions. A lot of people out there spouting off their opinions. Your opinions don't really amount to a hill of beans in the sight of God. It's his word. It's his truth. Not your truth. It's God's truth. That's what counts. That's what's important. I'm going to tell you something. She straightened up, and all of a sudden, this woman was set free. There was a guy years ago, saw this cocoon, and all of a sudden, he saw it moving in it, and a little hole came in, and this butterfly was coming out. And it was squeezing through it. He watched it for a couple of hours. It was struggling, and it just finally got to a point where it stopped about halfway out. And it stopped, and he thought, well, I'm going to help it. So he got some scissors and snipped, and it came right on out. Body was real big. The wings was all wrinkled up, and he was waiting for it the wings to fill up, but it never did. You see, what he didn't realize was that God had designed it when that butterfly struggled to go through. It was pushing the fluid out of his body into his wings so that when he came out, his wings will be full. Sometimes we don't realize this, but in the struggles of life, and we're wanting God to come right then and do something, God is allowing us to go through that struggle to get things out of our life, to bring things up to where we can say, Lord, get this out of my life. I'm surrendered to you. God's not in a hurry, but God's always going to keep working in your life. This is Richard Williams saying, God bless you. You have a good night.